Hello and welcome to Dyson Dudes. Right now it's just going to be me. I'm going to be talking to you about a very particular game today. And we're going to begin that here in just a minute. But if you do like the channel and you do like the content that we provide, we do ask that you please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. If you are watching us on YouTube, please like the video and leave a comment. That really helps us out with content. If you want all the notifications for all of our videos, make sure you ring the bell. If you're watching us on Twitch, please give us a follow. And if you have a free Twitch Prime account, please throw that our way as well. It really helps out the channel. Okay, so now that that stuff is out of the way and I have appeased the almighty algorithm, I want to go ahead and talk to you today about a game that's been on my mind for a while, and we'll be getting into why in just a little bit, but that game is Oath, and this is the newest title from Leader Games. Now, if you're a big part of the board gaming world, or if you have played a lot of games or talked with me a lot, then you will know that Root is one of my top 10 favorite games, and not only mine, but tons of people love this game. Fantastic game. It is an asymmetrical war game, meaning that each faction plays completely differently from every other faction, even going so far as to scoring points in completely different ways, which is really interesting. This is their not quite follow-up attempt, but it is a follow-up attempt in order to recapture that magic, and here it is. Oath has been out for a little while now. This is not going to be a how to play video. If you watch this video, you're going to understand the basics of the game, but you will not know how to play it. I actually highly recommend the how to play video from Let Them Eat Cardboard, which I will be putting in the description down below. So you guys can go to that video straight from here and you can learn how to play the game from him. I would typically want to do this myself, but he did such a fantastic job on his video that frankly I feel me doing anything is superfluous. So I'd rather just send some people over his way, so that way you guys can see all of the hard work that he put into his. Okay, so Oath at its very core is a politically styled area control game. Okay, it is a war game to a lesser extent than Root is. This has a lot less territory to fight over, but every territory matters a lot more than it does in a game like Root. Sorry, let me go ahead and fix that. That's going to bug me. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about the various components of the game real quick and the various facets, and then talk about what you do during your turns and things like that, describing some of the actions and giving you guys an idea. Now, if you've just purchased this game and you have not played your first game yet, the board is going to look confusing to you. This is not the first game setup, as I've already played a couple of games of this. So this is our current setup from our last game. Last time, the yellow player won and actually took over as the Chancellor. And now they are the Chancellor, and they have the Oath Keeper of the People. So they will start with a particular banner in play, and they how he wins now is different. So from playing the game, the subsequent games that you will play will be different depending on the choices that you make, okay? And we'll get into that here in just a minute. But let's go ahead and look at the components real quick. Let's come on down to the board. All right, so over here we have the Oath of the Chancellor. Right now he is currently the Oath Keeper because he does have the Banner of the People. So he will remain the Oath Keeper until someone manages to take that away. We have his extra meeples over here for his warbands, the 3 warbands he starts with, his a couple of the resources in the game, the secrets and the favors, or money and books, however you want to look at it. This little bar down here is for his goods, how many goods he uses in order to take how many supplies he has to take for certain actions, which can change throughout the game. Down here he has the Imperial Reliquary. This is where extra Artifacts, that's the word. Extra artifacts will be down here that he can use to entice people to become citizens and either help him win the game or change how the citizen wins the game. We'll get into a little bit about that in a little bit later, okay? Then we have the 2 exile players. I have this set up for a 3-player game simply for the fact that this game will not be played. I will put it back up exactly as it sits here, so I won't be looking at any of the face down stuff because I want to play this game again. I currently have this set up for a 3rd player. So we have the red player who is starting as an exile, which was an exile at the end of the last game, as well as the blue player was an exile at the end of the last game. So they had no choice but to play an exiled character. We had no citizen characters or citizens at all at the end of our last game, so everybody has to start out as an exile and then the 1 chancellor. Okay, so their boards are basically pretty much exactly the same over here, except they will have revealed visions areas. Those revealed visions will allow them to place vision cards, which will help them win the game in a different way. So instead of winning through the over here is the Oathkeeper of the People, they could literally steal this award from the Chancellor, and if they can hold it for a full round, they will turn it to the Usurper side, and if they can hold it for 1 more full round, then they would actually win the game. So that is one way to win, but Visions will give you more ways to win. Over here out on the board, you will see that we have the Cradle area, the Provinces area, and the Hinterlands area. The Cradle area for this game, we actually have the Mountain and the Rocky Coast. For your first game, only the top 3 will be revealed, but as this location was revealed in our last game, it stays revealed in this game as he had control of it, but we'll get into that. So I would actually remove that. He does not have control of that. But the bandits do have control of those. Okay, so we have his warband here. You can see here there's cards off to the side. These are cards that have been played to that region. For the most part, you cannot replace these cards unless you have a card ability that allows you to do so. And you will also have over here the artifacts that are in that region. You're going to have card maximums that you can have there. When you have your pawn in a region, then you are able to activate those cards, whether you, as long as you own the tile. Okay, if you don't own that area, you can't activate the cards, and you don't own that area unless you actually have a warband there. So right now, the only player on the board that started with any territories is the Oathkeeper, and that's pretty much how every game starts. I haven't seen a change to that yet, but I've only played the game a few times, so we'll see what happens with that going forward. Over here, so right here in the Fertile Valley, the red player currently has his pawn there. 3 cards could be played here. It has an ability that it has that as long as you have your pawn there, you can use said ability. Same thing with blue players over here, but over here in the steps, it can only have 2 cards, and it does start with an artifact card or a relic card right out of the gate, so we have that there. And then, of course, we have these regions below in the provinces and the hinterlands that you can head to. Again, like I said, this is not a comprehensive video. I'm just going to kind of give you the broad strokes of it. So you're mainly going to be taking actions. Actions that you can take are like searching. You can search through these decks here. This is the world deck, or you can decide to search through one of the discard decks as long as your pawn is there. The pawn would be the bigger figure, not the warbands. But you can pick those cards up, pick one, and then very interestingly, when you discard, you always discard down the line. So like literally if I pulled cards from the cradle, and I looked at those, or even from the world deck, and I'm in the cradle, and I look at those and choose one, the other the other 2 cards that I didn't choose, they would go to the provinces. If I'm in the provinces, they go to the hinterlands. If I'm in the hinterlands, they go to the cradle, which is interesting. So it's basically you're discarding cards for your opponents to be able to look at right away to take opportunities with, which is really interesting. You do have your warbands that will go and fight against each other's, and I'll explain like kind of how a fight works here in just a little bit. But basically that's kind of the gist of the overall map. These areas down here are the banks. One of the cool things about the game is banks are done by faction. You can't really just dip into the overall bank unless a card lets you. You have to take it from one of these. Typically the way that you would do that is, let's say we're the red player and we decide to play this guy here, here in this place. we'd play a small favor there. So not only would he get the ability's power, which I'll see if I can show that to you guys. Would he get the ability's power of gaining 4 warbands, but since he played this card, he would gain 1 favor with that clan, and that would be the Discord clan. So he'd literally take 1 favor and add it to his board for playing that card, which is really, really cool. It's really nice. So you can kind of mess with your opponents by emptying the banks that they have been using, which is which has happened already. That's just like one player's just like, I can't get any money. Like they're having to spend all their actions in order to try to gain money, which is again really, really interesting. It is not a straight up war game. It is not a game that you're going to be just like basically fist fighting against each other. You're not going to be doing any of that. This is a lot of subterfuge and things like that. Besides searching, you can muster, which you're going to be playing warbands on an empty site. It has to be empty. So that when it's empty means it can't have another player's warband. But if there's bandits there, then you're going to have to fight the bandits instead. So you're not going to be able to do anything. Bandits are like a neutral faction. If there's a face-up card that starts the game that has nobody on it, or if you turn a card face-up, then bandits will be on it, so you got to defeat those if there's no players there. Then you can trade. When you trade, you can either gain secrets or you can gain favor. It depends on how you do it. If you pay 1 secret, you can gain 1 favor plus another favor if you have the same card suits. That's the same as these bank suits. Or you can pay 2 favor in order to gain a secret per matching advisor in your book too. Then you can recover, so you can grab relics out of your sites. You can take the banner of the dark secret, or you can take the banner of the people's favor. Like the beginning of the game, this banner of the people's favor is actually in the Oath Keeper's possession. So if you want to take this banner from him, you have to fight to take the banner from him, which again, I say it a lot, very interesting. You can campaign, you can choose an enemy at your site to take their sites, banners, and relics. You can also banish their pawns. You can get rid of a lot of their pawns off the board. But you don't just have, if you're occupying a space that has an opponent, you have to fight that opponent. And if they have other spaces, then you can fight them in multiple places at once. So like this red player, if he wanted to fight the bandits, he could actually fight the bandits here and over here. So he could take 2 locations even though his pawn isn't there, which again, really cool. You can also travel, that is moving your pawn around, so that way you can activate various sites. There's minor actions. Playing or discarding a face-down advisor is a minor action. Using action cards, peeking at any of these cards or your own cards that are at your site, you can do at will. When you rest, you're going to return your money. You don't keep your money. Returns to the banks. Like for instance, if I play the ability with the Chancellor here to do his thing over here on tents, then at the end of the round, this goes from the tents, which is going to be the nomads, and goes into the nomads bank. So now the nomads bank is a bit richer, but secrets don't do that. When you play a secret, like if I play a secret here on Taming Charm, at the end of my turn, I get my secret back unless I burn it. You can burn it. If you burn favors or secrets, they're discarded into the general supply. Hard to get that stuff back, so it's one of those things that you do have to make a decision on. Sometimes, like I said, there are some cards that will put on the supply, but not many that I've seen so far. But I haven't seen a whole lot of cards yet. I am trying to play this game mostly blind, which I did not do with Root, but this one does have the reasoning, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is fighting. Fighting is surprised. I was kind of surprised about this, but it is dice-based. I thought it was going to be a bit different. But typically a game like this, maybe card-based, having attack cards and defense cards and things like that. But dice, I like dice. Dice add randomness. They can have a player that is just rickrolling everybody, but if he has a couple bad rolls, it can turn the tide. Some people hate that. I kind of like it, depending on the context, of course. But that's pretty cool. Basically, the way that you would do it is, if let's say, for instance, right now, Red has played his favorite card right here, and he's gotten 4 more of these guys. So he wants to try to campaign. So he moves his thing over here for 2 supply, and he decides that he wants to campaign. And he is going to choose let's say the bandits aren't there. Let's say he's like that right now. So he decides that he's going to fight the Chancellor, okay? And he wants to fight the Chancellor for the banner itself, okay? So the Chancellor, this guy, he would grab his dice. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, so that'd be 6 dice that he would be rolling, which isn't too great, to be perfectly honest. You could add battle plans if you have access to battle plans, either in your advisors or in the space that you're in. Same thing with the defender. The defender would look at the locations that he is in. So if he's being attacked directly here, he has the 1 defense here, plus he has the 1 defense for being Oathkeeper, and he has an additional defense for the banner. So you'd actually roll his 3 defense dice, which doesn't sound like much, but it can do a lot. So the defender would roll his dice first. So let's say I rolled a bit better than that. Let's say I rolled like that, okay? So if I got 2 times 2s, I would take this 1 times 2 would be 2, then 2 times 2 would be 4, so my defense would be 4. You take the 6 dice from this guy and roll them. If you roll any of these skulls, you get 2 swords, but then one of your guys dies immediately. And then you get, I would have then these empty swords. 2 empty swords count as 1 sword, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would I would beat him by 1. So let's say we tied, okay? Let's say we did that, okay, and we ended up tying. The attacker can still sacrifice troops to give him 1 additional attack power per troop, and if he wins, then he takes the effect. If he loses, obviously, he doesn't. So you can, like I said, you can steal the banners from each other. You can take terrain from each other. You can just go after each other's favor or secrets, which is really cool. That kind of, you really mess people over like that, which is fun. That's kind of a quick overview of the game. I know I'm kind of being super vague here, but I don't want this video to run too awful long. I want this to just be more kind of my impressions and thoughts. So what I'm going to be talking about, this is not my final decision on the game. This is just my initial thoughts on the game. We are going to be playing the game on the channel. We're going to be, in the next few days, hopefully by the end of the week, we will have a video for you filmed and ready to go for the channel for this game, where I will be giving you my final thoughts. But for now, I'm kind of giving you my preliminary ideas, so that way you guys can get an idea of whether or not this is a game for you. So straight out of the gate, I'm going to be comparing it a lot to Root, for those of you that play Root, that love Root, and telling you the differences and how you can kind of understand what this game does. One of the first things out of the gate, talking about components and talking about artwork. A+ for artwork, love it. Love Leader Games artwork, love Fort, love Root, all of it's fantastic. Let's move on, okay? Artwork's great. Components, way better than what I was expecting. Not only are the cards of very good quality, even the big cards are actually surprisingly good quality. I run into a lot of big cards being very flimsy. They're not, which is really good. But not only that, neoprene playmat in the box. Need I say more? They really pulled out of the, knocked out of the park with the components for this one, just like they did with Root. But frankly, I think Root desperately needs a neoprene mat, which is why I bought them, because that board is not good. It's one of the few complaints that I have about the game, which is nullified by the neoprene mat. So kudos to you, Leader Games. That is absolutely fantastic. Really, really good stuff. Moving on to that, complexity of this one is actually less complex to teach than Root, mainly for the fact that pretty much everybody plays the same, except how you're trying to win. So instead of having to train a complete faction for somebody, you only need to teach them about the Exile, the Chancellor, and the Citizens. That is a nice change of pace. As someone who has had to teach, at this point, close to 100 different people how to play Root, it's really nice and refreshing for me to have a better teaching experience, okay? So right now, this one is easier for me to teach. You do kind of run into some problems. This as a demo game isn't, it's kind of like Root, it's not necessarily good, but it could be very interesting having the place constantly change, which does make it harder for people to do the read me first stuff and play it like that. So as a demo game, not super hot, but I would be interested to see it as like kind of an experiment to see how that worked. To have like a game store's chronicle of the various games that you play of Oath, I think would be a fantastic idea. Which one I may try to pull off. We'll see. So the rules complexity in the teach, rules complexity is very complex. It is at least as complex as Root, but again, easier to teach as there's not the differences between everything. It is better to just kind of, you don't want to show people every single card that's in the game. You kind of can't. The initial walkthrough here does walk you through very well, but after that, if you're trying to play the same copy, I don't know of a way that I could reset this. It'd be really, really hard. I don't know if maybe they have something online that would help me reset the game back to its, starter state. Don't know. I'd have to do some research on that. And if they don't, it'd be really, really hard after that first play to have someone like read first and do it. You'd have to have someone who played teach them the game, which would change things. The fun factor and the replayability. So that's where we're going to get a little sticky. Okay, so replayability, through the roof. You're not going to touch most of the cards in the game during a play, and you literally remove cards after every play. You add new cards in after every play. There is 24 different cards in each of the factions that you don't even start the game with, that those will be like slowly filtered in while you're playing. So it really adds, like little drops of new life, into this well of content that really keeps you interested in like, ooh, I wonder what's around the next corner and what's around the next corner. And ooh, what's this, which is really, really nice. I really appreciate that. Now we come to the part that is tough. So, fun factor. So very much like Root, this one is a practice of patience. So if you really want to grow to love this game, you probably won't on your first one, maybe even two playthroughs. Same thing with Root. Your first playthrough, you're probably still going to be confused. Your second playthrough, things are snapping together and you understand the game a lot better. By your third game, you're like, okay, I know whether I want this game or not, which for some people is too much of an investment right out of the gate. They come to channels like ours to see how we feel about it. So in no uncertain terms, Root is a better game, okay? Root as a war game is designed better. The game has a lot more going for it, but, and this is a big Kim Kardashian size but, okay? I think this game has overall more longevity than Root does. Because after the thing about Root is you play the multiple factions. I've played every single faction multiple times, and that's part of the big thing is like, yeah. So when I sit down to play, I'm just like, yeah, everybody choose your factions and I'll choose last, which I don't have a problem with. But this one is always like, wait, if I won the last game, I'm the chancellor this next game. That changes things. Or if I lost. Like the plays that we had, the only reason why Yellow Player won our last game is in our first two games, the Chancellor smashed us. They destroyed us. So we all got together and just kicked them into the dirt and made sure the Chancellor lost and made sure there was a new Chancellor in the next game, which kind of sounds bad. Like, oh, well, you just were mad that you lost another game, which in other games would mean more. In this one, it's actually part of the game. It's part of telling the story together of, your previous playthroughs and things like that. It's more like a history of the world and the constant warring factions with each other than these games like Root where it's, through a keyhole, it's just these events and then you play a different game that is completely separate from everything else and it's, you're basically back to the status quo. This one, you're not. You're constantly changing things. You're changing how you win the game, for the Oathkeeper and the Exiles and the Citizens. Then, you have the different vision cards, which never change. There's 5 vision cards, 5 new ways to win the game for the Exiles. but those are always present. But the fact that the Oath Keeper can only win one way, if the Oath Keeper gets exiles to turn into citizens to help them out, they gain powerful abilities or powerful bonuses to their abilities, and then the citizens literally replace, like if this guy became a citizen, he'd be like, okay, cool, now I replace mine with yours. There we go. Like now I'm helping you try to control area. But if you win the game, but I have this second part, like if I hold the darkest secret here, it doesn't matter how good the Chancellor does, I won as the citizen. So haha, I win. So the Chancellor has to kind of balance, like, does he want the help of the citizens because it really helps the Chancellor out? Or does he want to, like, oh no, I don't want any citizens. I just want to fight against the exiles. But it also means that then the exiles are like, okay, cool, we're going to team up and we're going to smash you over the head with the frying pan and we're going to win, But that's really, really interesting. That's really cool. That's really fun. This is a game that if you have a particular game group that you like playing heavier games with and you want something that can bring people back and you can play over and over again and get your money's worth out of, because we got to talk price here in a minute, this is a game that, in my opinion, has more longevity than Root does. So while Root beats it in 9 categories out of 10, this does have that longevity. And I'm being facetious. I haven't played the game enough to give you, like I said, my overall opinion. Root for me is an A+. This right now, sitting right out of the box, is an A- right now. And I've only played it a couple of times. I think that is only going to go up as I see new things coming out and new changes to the game. But frankly, I need to get my gaming group in order and get us all playing multiple, get the same 4 people or 5 people playing multiple games of this to really get the full force of what this game does. And when that happens, we'll be doing that on camera, and I will be updating you on what my final thoughts of the game are and letting you know what the rest of the dudes think. So for now, this is going to stay in my collection right now, unless somehow, some way, game number 4 is just the game falls apart. I doubt, honestly, but in case, unless that happens, this is definitely going to be in my collection. This is definitely going to be in some of my favorite games of the year, and this is going to be hitting my H index. I absolutely guarantee it. By the way, the Automa, the AI player for this one, for the Prince, is way better than the Mechanical Marquis was in the base set of of Root, which is a nice change of pace. They have learned quite a bit on how to do AI stuff, which is very, very good. And then on top of that, the only downside I will say about this game is, just like the game I did before this, Hallertau, it is a table hog. Like my card table at home, I had to pull out my extension table just to fit the mat out because the mat is big. The mat is like 3.5 feet long, so like it's pretty big. So it is a bit of a table hog, but as long as you don't mind that, if you're used to Root, you're used to table hog games. So I would say if you love Root, I would definitely give Oath a chance. Its price tag is $120, which is a lot. That is a lot of money, especially with some really good competition out there right now, considering the fact that regular old Root is half that price for the base game. But this one plays 6 people right out of the box, which definitely adds to it. So if you got a big gaming group that likes heavier games, this is a game I think you could play over and over again and it still remain pretty dang fresh and make you want to come back and just have more and more. So far, the Dyson dudes are giving Oath an A-, and we will let you know if that score goes up or conceivably goes down in our next video. So stay tuned for that. If you did like this content, if you like talking about board games, if you like dealing with board games, or if you're just a customer of Game Vault and you see me around and you want to be more involved in stuff like this, let us know. We definitely want to get some more board game enthusiasts down to the studio and play some games with some new blood and things like that and have a good old time. If you guys want to get in on that, definitely let us know, as long as you're okay with being on camera, and we will get you down here. So thank you so very, very much for joining us. This is going to do it for our videos today. We'll be back at you on Tuesday, unless life happens. We'll see. But we'll be back to you on Tuesday with another video. Stay tuned for our second campaign of Kingdom Death Monster coming your way shortly. And it looks like most people simply want us to do another Lantern campaign with different monsters. So we will be letting you guys know what the final tally of those votes are when we have our next video. So guys, from us dudes to you dudes, remember to keep rolling dice. Good night, everybody.